And welcome to Thacker's Sunday Hangover with me, James Thacker, the podcast that's looking to give you a little wry smile as we're just recovering from those 20 baby Ginwars that you've had on a Saturday night. I am absolutely honoured to introduce my guest on for this week. Some say the most eligible bachelor in the Bishop Stortford / East Herts region, Mr. Benjamin Law. How the devil are you, sir?
Hello, hello. Honoured. That was quite an elaborate entrance.
Mate, always honoured to be speaking to you. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Ticking away. Another week. Another week in the a week jotted down. Week done.
Exactly. Yeah. End of the week. I tell you, it's been a bit of a busy one, so I am glad to see the back of it. And I'm now nursing a nice Peroni, just chilling to the max. How's this week gone for you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Sort of just working away, trying to keep busy. A bit cold though, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit nippy.
cold.
I have to say, I haven't actually left the house, I don't think, in about 5 days, other than to go and get a cold one out of the fridge from outside, which is shameful, I know. Yeah, just not really feeling running or going for a walk in this -2 temperature.
No, not ideal. Not ideal at all.
So
but,
still,
yeah.
Go on.
I was just saying it's been all right. Like I say, it's just you got to try and we're limited to what we can do as it is, and then chuck in a bit of cold weather as well. But
yeah, so not ideal, but we crack on. We keep going. We're pushing through, and hopefully we're nearly there. I suppose it would be good to, whoever's listening to this, give you a bit of a background as to how me and Ben met. How long? I've known Ben for time. We were playing minis rugby back in the day. I think it started under eights, Benjamin.
Yeah, I think so. Around that time.
And then we've just been boys since day. Picked the romance has re-blossomed ever since I've come back. We've both come back from uni. Is it fair to say?
Yeah, I think a lot of that happens, isn't it? It dies out a little bit when you lose a bit of contact. You go away to uni, making some new friends and stuff, and then you sort of come back and rekindle, don't you, a lot of the time? But
yeah, I feel like also uni was an interesting time for both of us for different reasons. But that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the last year has been a hectic time for everyone. How have you been coping, my friend? How's I know you're a big advocate of mental health awareness and speaking about it and reaching out. I know that it's really important to keep on top of it. I had a bit of a wobble last year in November, and I definitely went through the ringer a bit, like many people have. How have you been kind of keeping on top of it in the last 12 months?
Do you know what? It's been a weird one, I think, this year, because I think I've always been a bit of a sort of overactive, sort of quite hyper positive person. So I like to try and make a positive out of negative. And I think this whole time, it's just a case of trying to find sort of positives from it. And I know that's obviously so hard in some cases. But yeah, it's just trying to be thankful for stuff, really, isn't it? It's been a bit of a reset on everything. But I think now, yeah, I think end of last year, similar sort of thing, really. I was a bit fed up and sort of get a bit bogged down. But I think going through all of that and then coming out the other side, and actually now I'm probably in a stronger place than I've ever been before. And I think a lot of my friends have as well. It's been really quite nice. You say about us rekindling friendships and stuff, but I think now, whether or not it's because I haven't seen a lot of people for so long, but I'm having more chats and conversations and keeping up with more people now than probably ever before as well. So
yeah. I think it's definitely been a time where I think more than ever people have felt the need to come together a lot more. I'm really grateful that for my kind of support circle, they've been there in the times where I've really, really needed them, and then sometimes where things are a bit more happy days. So yeah, I'd agree with you there. And I think everyone's got so much going on at the minute. I know from personal experience, especially working from home and stuff, the stress on that in terms of turning a 9 to 5 job sometimes turns into 7:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night jobby for some people. I know some of my colleagues are working super long hours. So the stresses that come with that, as well as trying to keep up a social life, as well as trying to keep active and on top of your mental health is real
Mm.
difficult. But it does seem like people have been massively proactive um, in terms of reaching out, and hopefully everyone listening will have that. If it's not like a massive group of friends, at least those kind of people that they can check in with, because it is
Mm.
really important. And making sure that we're touching base with you know with our support group. So yeah, I'm no, but I'm glad that you're doing all right, mate. I mean, we only spoke not too long ago, so I kind of know that you're in a good place, and obviously with the new
Yeah,
and everything, it's muchos
it's just
positivos.
it is just all a bit shit, isn't it? That is like the concept of it. And the more I think about it, the more I deep it is unbelievably weird.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
whole thing, and it still baffles me to this day. And it's just there's so many avenues to explore of what the hell is going on and what has happened over the last year.
Oh, I know.
But like I say, I'm whether or not it reflects in my mental capacity in terms of my smarts. I do feel like I'm quite a one-dimensional person, and it's like control the controllables. I'm
Yeah.
probably going to sound like some sort of American motivational speaker now. I like to throw in these little one-liners if you don't know.
Yeah.
But like I say, you just control the controllables, and if we're in this situation, it's sort of part and parcel of starting a new job and bits and bobs like that. It's just trying to be proactive and think, actually, is complaining or doing anything now gonna change the time for when I can go out for a beer again? Probably not. So take
Exactly.
take what you've got and do with that what you can. So
I
that's
think
sort of the main goal.
Yeah, I think you're one of those people that does reflect or react quite well in the face of adversity and try and draw the positives out from situations. I think, unfortunately, in the UK, we seem to just really be addicted or just love the fact that, or just to be moany, to be negative, just to kind of
Mm.
get sucked into this kind of vortex of moaning and negativity. I can't remember who I was speaking to about this the other day, but it's something that we can find common ground on quite easily. If you've never met
Yeah.
someone before, that I can't count on, two hands how many times I've, gone into a meeting and the first thing that will come out of people's mouths is like, oh, the traffic, oh, the weather, like
Yes.
something to moan about just straight off the bat that is going to be some common ground with someone from
Yeah.
the UK because you just know that they love moaning too.
Yeah.
So we do have that kind of culture, but it's so important to just not kind of dwell on things. At the moment, it is really difficult to break away from that because we are
Mm.
stuck indoors. There's not a lot of release. Some people will be in far kind of worse situations than you and myself, like in terms of living conditions and all of that kind of stuff. So for that, we got to be grateful as well. But yeah, it's just trying to separate yourself so much from this kind of just getting drawn into negative conversation
I would
all the
I would
time.
pay good I would pay good money to see how I would have dealt with this if it happened, say, like 2 years ago, or when I
Yeah,
was at uni. This goes back to sort of what you just said about like mentality and moaning and sort of this like toxic lifestyle of just being negative, and that was what I was, just utterly fully, and I'd have been an absolute moron about all this, and I'd have been so hard done by. So
I think
yeah, I look back now and I think pretty lucky
yeah.
where I am. So
Yeah, I think the uni conversation is a bit different though, because uni is only a finite amount of time. I think the way that I'm looking at this from someone that's kind of through the other side now and looking forward to the future is that, this is time that I've got to sacrifice, but it's not like I am time restricted by like my job. Like uni, you've only got that for a certain amount of time and then it's done. So people who are students at the moment, and like going back to your comment around if we would suffered it as a student, then absolutely you'll be going nuts because that's not what the uni experience is supposed to be. I feel really bad for my younger brother who's still going through sixth form. He's in lower sixth now, and he's going to be probably completing most of this year indoors. And for me, that's just so tough because when you're 17, 18, that's when you should be going out, parties, making some mistakes, enjoying yourself. Sixth form as well is when you start really getting, I suppose your real passions and interests in terms of your subjects and kind of getting a rough idea as to what you want to take forward, and they're having to do that all from the comfort of their home. So it's a real different experience. And I think, yeah, you're right. I think the fact that these guys are having to go through this younger than us is massively tough, because
100%.
yeah, they've only got
It's
so.
now on Wednesday night. It's student night. You get 3 Jaegers for a fiver.
Oh mate, I miss
Do
it.
you know what I mean? It's just
I miss it.
those,
Yeah,
those are the times I cherished, really, and I feel like I would have been hard done by. But yeah, it's like I say, it's got to the point now. I do think though we do get to that point where we all sort of stick together, and it's like this whole thing of let's just fucking get it done now because
yeah, just muck in. Yeah, do you know what I can't stand? And this is kind of going to lead on to the topic of today's pod in social media, but these kind of people who claim to be influencers who are, claiming that it's essential work to go and work in Dubai as a
yeah,
online PT. I mean, I can't express to you how stupid you need to be to claim that as like, if you. So this woman was on ITV. I don't know. You probably saw the clip
I
of
have. I think I
her
know
being
the exact one
interviewed.
you're referring to.
Yeah, the one of she's getting interviewed by what's his name, Phil Schofield and Holly Willoughby,
Yeah,
and she's just sat there just selling this absolute nonsense about her needing to inspire people to.
she
She's
must know
got.
it's bullshit though. Like like credit to her for even going. I've said this to a couple of people now. I said credit to her for even just going on and taking the brunt of it. Because I know a lot haven't, but I just for my own
Yeah, but
dignity.
you got to respect the balls to a degree, but it's just such nonsense. Like it's
Yeah,
if you genuinely believe that, then you are a clinical moron. Because like she made a good point in that Holly in that you see all these frontline staff, they're massively struggling. Like it's not even like you can hide from it or claim ignorance. Like I didn't realise the NHS was on its knees. Like you actually can't say that. So the fact that she's going abroad, still breaking these rules, still, and then that sets a precedent for the rest of the UK. And that someone's gone to Dubai, so I can see Jackie in the park for a coffee, and then
yeah.
everyone just does what they want again. So
Well, there was two good points. The best thing was it was her saying if you can't say anything or can't do anything, be kind. And halfway through one of the little the little avenue she was going down was saying how I could do this from Dubai, I could do it from my home, and it's like
well, why
the
didn't
whole
you?
thing. Again, it's just a shame. It's just annoying, isn't it? And I think you've got people, have the means to go, and if I mean they've got there, haven't they? And they've got away with it. And if they're there, then they're there. But it's there's like a conscience. So I don't think I could. There's a certain conscience that these people have that I just couldn't. I don't think I could do it.
I just struggled. I really struggle with the logic in how you think that telling people you're in Dubai is going to motivate them, because it's not even like at the moment you're someone that's working in a job and who might be motivated by that kind of person, and goes, oh well, if I work really hard and smash my targets or like do overtime and for a month and do all my savings, then maybe by like May I could go to Dubai. It's like, well, you probably can't, because we're probably still not going to even be able to travel. So I don't even get like the original thought. I think basically they've gone on holiday and they're trying to dress it up as some kind of nonsense. And yeah, it's a weird, really weird world at the minute. But at the end of the day, like we said before, you can't really get bogged down with that kind of nonsense, because as soon as you start getting sucked into that and start feeling hard done by, then it starts to affect your mental psyche on your day to day. So it's really best to kind of just park that stuff and kind of concentrate on what you're doing and make sure you're just checking in with the people that matter the most, because otherwise, you just end up spiraling a little bit.
I still think there's stuff to be done as well. Honestly, I think it's your perception on it, because again, like you say, you can get bogged down in your own head of what you're not doing, but what can you do? So if you have got, I mean, it's shit weather, but if it's going to be exercise, if it's going to be losing weight, if it's going to be saving up money, just you've got to say it's 2 more months. If we won't come out, there'll be another review in 2 months. There you go. That's your timeline. And then what are you going to do about it? If you've got 2 months where you can work and save and try and get your exercise in, and that needs to be what you're concerned about, as opposed to why can't I do these things? You just got to try and be a bit like, well, what can I do? Which is really tough and really shit. But I think that's the sort of mentality you've got to take to it, really. Otherwise, you end up just sort of you get in this spiral of just feeling shit for shit's sake.
Yeah, mate, massively. Couldn't agree more. So I suppose that kind of leads us on to the main topic that we were going to discuss around social media. And I know that we both have pretty similar opinions, and we've had experiences with social media that have been both really great, but also not so great in the past. And I suppose it'd be good to just kind of kick off as to what you perceive social media to be in terms of its kind of role in society at the minute. It feels like there's a lot of onus on social media in a lot of aspects. And my personal opinion on social media at the minute is that it was originally brought in to bring us together and feel more connected. But actually, nowadays, social media is really threatening genuine connections between people and actually causing more of a disconnect than it's doing good.
I think I think the connection's the right thing. We're more connected now than ever before, but it's the what kind of connection, isn't it? It's a virtual reality of say Instagram, for example. So it's not necessarily you and your friends and what you're doing. It's you and a lot of people, or some of your friends and a lot of people you don't know, whilst you're doing what you want people to think that you're doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like what does my page look like? Who I am. It's not a case of just broadcasting. This is me, and this is me socialising, or this is me connecting with people. I think it becomes this. What can I make people think about me, as opposed to what will they think of the real me?
Yeah, it just feels like at the minute everyone's very, very bought into or this idea of having to have a personal brand from a social aspect, which I find
Mm-hmm.
really bizarre because when you think about and I had this thought last night just as I was thinking about this topic. If you think about the thought process that you go through when you're posting something up, and this will be the same for a lot of people, you know, what are your actual intentions when you're posting something? When, I know that people put a lot of time and effort into looking at your photo, making sure that it's the right one, then picking out the right filter, then picking out a right caption. I mean, all these things might take someone like literally hours. I genuinely been part of this process as well. So
Yeah.
I've seen it. But the worrying thing is that all of these decisions and all of these kind of processes are being made with I suppose the question in mind that who's going to like this? How many people are going to actually like this? Who you might care about someone that you might not have even spoken to in the longest time. Are they going to like my picture? Rather than just if it's an experience that you've had and you really want to remember it, you really want to capture it. That's something that I hear a lot from people is I really use Instagram as a bit of a timeline of my life, so it's just memories for me to look back on. And I struggle to buy that, to be honest, because I know people will be very vested in how many likes they get and who's looking at it and all this kind of stuff. And I just think we're putting out all of this stuff for all the wrong reasons. And I've fallen foul of that as well. Last year, I think, obviously, Ziggy, and she's extremely popular in the social media sphere, and she's got a personal brand. I mean, she's a pro netballer. That comes with the job to a degree. I think in our first year of a relationship, I maybe got caught up in that a little bit and probably caught myself posting stuff out on a regular basis just to get that little dopamine hit, to get that bit of gratification instantly. And then I just felt myself overanalyzing it. It's just, I don't know. It's not good for you. I don't think it's kind of connecting us on those right levels as well.
Yeah, I think it comes back to what do I want people to think I am as opposed to who I am. Yeah, I think everyone's caught up in it. I think there's a majority of users have gone through it. and have at least experienced it. It's like a competition, isn't it? Lifestyle competition of what can you post, and if some people get caught up, and if it's not good enough, then it won't even be put up. Like you say, there is potential that there's memories there or things people are doing, and they're almost scared to post or scared to share it because they feel like no one's going to care or it's not as good as the next person's. So
Yeah, and just it then kind of becomes someone's personality. It kind of gets incorporated to conversations that you have with people. When realistically, I think when you all strip it back, when you actually care about someone deeply, you don't care about what their Instagram's saying. You care about who the person is and what they're doing and their feelings and their experiences. You don't care about what pictures say on a screen that they've been doing. And I suppose that kind of links into, the fact that people are now going out of their way to have these quite unnatural experiences to just create this kind of media persona and pretend that they're someone they're not. I mean, when we spoke about this the last time, I think you kind of admitted to maybe being drawn down that path a little bit in that you kind of
100%,
reporting
yeah.
nights out. I don't know if you wanted to go
Yeah,
about
like
that.
no, again, I think I've had an experience with it, like because it all feeds into who like your self analysis, and like I think I've been in a situation, quite a social situation, and going out quite a bit, and feeling like I needed to sort of play up to it a bit and post something, at least get a good post or picture or story of where I am, what I'm doing, because I felt like that would sort of aid me in this thing of people thinking I was cool or people thinking I'm up to all this cool shit when like half the time where I always used the example I'd say is like you can literally go to the deadest bar, it's awful but it's a bit of a fashionable place or something, you get your
Mm.
story, you get your sort of post, and then that's it, and you can actually have a terrible time and a bit of a crap night, but because you've got that you think, oh well, it's almost worth it. And I've been there where I thought I didn't actually enjoy myself at all last night, but I'm posting this picture the day later, like as if it was the sickest place,
Yeah,
and
I
I just find it false. And I say I guess it's a perception thing. I don't know if my Instagram still looks like that now, but I feel like I'm more of a case of post it if I want to post it and have a bit of fun with it, and try
yeah,
and
at the
play
end of
up.
the day, yeah, you're gonna be the only person that knows what your genuine intentions are. So there is an element where you kind of like, oh, I actually don't care what other people think. I'm going to post it up, and whatever they think, they're going to think, and I'm going to do it for me and no one else. When did you think, or when did you kind of have that realization that you know you look back at some of the stuff that you've been doing, or just analyzing your behavior a little bit, and came to that realization, actually no, this isn't me. Why am I posting this stuff? Why am I kind of trying to force it a little bit?
I don't really, because the funny thing is, it could, like I said a minute ago, it could look like I'm doing that now, and that's the thing. It is a perception, but my perception of what I'm doing, or more better said, why I'm doing it, is completely different. I couldn't give you a time frame, and maybe it is still because I'm getting better at it, or I'm caring less about it. But I think over the last year, or year or so, year and a half, I've just cared less. Like it used to be about the likes. I think was the main thing, wasn't it? It
Mm.
used to be if you could. I mean, I remember the days of Instagram where if you got 10 plus likes or 11 plus likes, it wouldn't say all their names. It would just say 10 people, and that would be a massive thing of being able to get that many likes. And that was 10. We're
Yeah.
talking however many years ago, and I used to get absolute buzzing off that. I was thinking, I've just got 10 likes. And then it was a case of, oh, well, let's get to 50. And then it was 100. And then I get so sad. I couldn't remember which one it was. I got 200 likes on a picture, like summer before last, when I was sort of going to the festivals and being quite social. And I was absolutely gassed about it. And now I look back, like, how sad. Well, I mean, I was having a great time, but I was almost more excited about getting a picture that would get 200 likes, which, by the way, is fuck all, really, in the grand scheme of Instagram. Um, and I look back now. I think because I was young and younger at the time and stuff, it's just silly to me now. But again, I think it's just a process, isn't it?
Yeah, I
You
think
sort
we
of
all
grow up.
go through it. Yeah, we all go through it to a degree. It's always nice to be, yeah, it's always nice to be the cool kid and feel the love a little bit. I suppose
Yeah.
I think that's why fame is so sought after because it's so I suppose idolized these people thrust into the kind of public space where all of this admiration I think people in general think, oh yeah, I'd love a bit of that, and on a smaller scale I think it's a version of that. And I suppose personally coming from a place where back when we were a lot younger, probably when we were under eights up until like, under 13s, I was all right at rugby, but from a social aspect, I was a little bit of a reject. Like I floated about around weird, not weird social circles, but in terms of lots of different people, not really settled on one particular group of people, and
Mm.
I wasn't ever a popular kid. And so, I suppose when you start feeling that a little bit, it's always nice to see or nice to feel that you're liked, but then I think that's a little bit of a immaturity aspect on my part because when you think about what actually matters and when like what my core values are, it's going to be family, friends, my core kind of support network of people that matter the most. As long as I'm okay with them and my relationship strong with them, I don't care if someone that I once met in Australia is like in my picture. Like
Mm.
why am I caring about that? Like that's great, yeah, okay, and maybe we can reconnect one day, but if we don't generally speak to each other, then there's no real connection there. It's just all superficial. And I suppose it links to things like, your dating apps as well, where you can get instant gratification from just literally looking at someone. It's all superficial, it's all instant gratification, but we actually scratch beneath the surface a little bit. There's no substance there. It's not that meaningful. So I think one thing I just would urge, or maybe just I don't know, have a think about is how much we're actually taking into account these social media likes and how much time we're spending on there, how much we're buying into our own bullshit to a degree. Because I definitely think there's an element of you know we're posting things up about ourselves. And I tell you one thing, I was definitely doing this last year because we realistically, no one was really living the life. Everyone was enjoying themselves and doing quirky little bits and pieces in lockdown, but no one was actually living a good life. And I was making it out on Instagram that I was having a great time, mentally stable, like everything was absolutely hunky dory, rosy. Look at my relationship, I'm in a great place. When actually behind the scenes, I was in a completely different place, and I was trying to. I actually recognised it a little bit at the time, but couldn't really help myself in that I was trying to put something out there as a little bit of a mask, so that people wouldn't really see the real me at the minute because I'm probably not my best self. So here's something that like can make you believe that I'm okay, whilst I'm actually in a completely different place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it again. It's this virtual reality of what do you want people to see. Like you can, Instagram's a funny one. We keep referring back to Instagram because there is obviously other social media platforms, but I think Instagram is still one that, in our, I guess, age frame, is one that's still like prevalent and most used. But I feel like it's so. Like you said about the dating apps, it's so easy to manipulate and come across in a way that's not you at all. Like it's a picture or a description. It's not, it's not real. It's not real life.
Yeah,
Perfect example of that, like what people are doing. Well, I can go back in my camera roll from a breakfast I had on holiday 3 years ago, and I could post that, and I could put that on a story and caption it with a time and a place that's now,
just want
and
to be back.
that's it. But you can, but what I'm trying to say is you can post as if what you're doing is now,
Yeah,
and that's where I think it comes into this whole like virtual, like this real life, like what are you doing? I
selling
was
people the dream.
reading up on habits, and it links into like you see these people on YouTube and Instagram, and the day of their lives is always a funny one to me because what I eat in a day as well is another good one because the days these people are having. So in this case of manipulating, this is often people with a lot of followers will do a day in their life or what I eat in a day, and you just know that 99% of the time that is not what they're doing, and that's not what they're eating. And it's like you
Yeah.
see that little snippet or that one day where one day out of the week that's what they do, and it's like this lifestyle they're promoting that's just not what they're doing, which is
Oh,
not
mate,
them.
I see that a lot of that on. Do you know what I've actually been really hooked on recently is TikTok, because it's kind of turned into Vine,
Yeah.
what Vine kind of was when it eventually got shut down. But I'm loving the kind of like meme culture that TikTok's generated at the minute. It's absolutely class. But I stumbled across on my For You page this guy. I think he did really rate himself. I don't know what industry he was in, or he looked like a bit of a business owner, but he went through a day in the life of, and it's just the most douchey. Like, oh, I'll wake up at 6 o'clock and read the
Mm.
Financial Times over a bowl of.
I meditate. I do 600.
Yeah, yeah. Whilst
Do you fuck?
meditating,
You
whilst
don't.
injecting like vitamins into my veins and eating a
Yeah.
bowl of very plain muesli. Like, mate, who? First of all, no, you don't. Second of all, who the hell cares? I'm like, who's looking at that going, yeah, I'll have a bit of that? No, just get
That's
in
what
the
I get.
bin.
It gets watched though because I do it. I do. I'm one of the people watch it though, and I'm not judging. I can't judge people, and especially say about TikTok, you say about Instagram and influencers and people that seamlessly. This conversation that I seem to be having a lot is talking about these people that are doing quite well when they shouldn't be, or they don't deserve that because they're doing this and that. And I think it comes to a certain point where I do think I respect the grind. I don't really care what it is. You're obviously doing well at it. Me having an opinion isn't doing anything badly for them, and it's definitely not doing anything good for me. And so there is this kind of balance where I do see people that say these douchey guys, and they're getting thousands of views, of what they're eating, what cereal they've eaten in the morning. I think there's got to be something behind that where if they're getting the views.
Yeah, there's got to be a bit of a demand for it. But then I just worry from a societal point of view, is that really where we're headed, where that's the thing that's sought after, that's the thing that's desired? I mean, when we were growing up, the people that were really idolized, and the people that, not saying, rightly or wrongly, they were in a lot of different realms. So for me, for instance, when we were growing up, I idolized people like Johnny Wilkinson. I
Mm.
idolized, my Spurs heroes, like people like Robbie Keane and whatever, the people that were unbelievable at their craft, that you could show takes genuine skill, and it takes hours and hours of dedication and putting in hard graft and literally blood, sweat, and tears to be able to go and perfect a craft like that, which is something that is, widely and over generations upon generations, it's commanded respect due to how difficult everyone kind of knows it is, because we all, everyone to a degree, especially in the sport realm, would have tried their hand at some kind of sport, and so you can have a little bit of appreciation of how difficult those skills are to master. When it comes to social media content creation, it I mean, I don't want to bash people too much on TikTok or some of these, some of this content, but it really does take very, very little skill to actually post things up. I mean, okay, yeah, you got to actually go out there, do it. It doesn't, I mean, I think some of the content creators that appeal to little kids, where the actual content is not funny, they just shout. I mean, that's just dross. All they have to do is rock up, shout a load of words, mention a few brand deals, edit it a little bit with it, cut a bit of music in, and then Bob's your mother's brother. There's 100K. Like that kind of stuff for me just doesn't float my boat. I really, to a degree, I understand what you're saying in terms of respect the hustle, but there's a point from a
I mean,
societal point of
it's
view.
limited hustle, but
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
get is they're obviously doing something, and again, it goes back to that girl sitting in Dubai, like PTing or whatever she was doing. I think maybe not to use her as an example, but you see these people, and it looks like they're sitting about in their living room and they're doing these videos and they're getting loads of views, and I think, well, I mean, I could do it personally, but I'm thinking, Jesus, like if it's that easy, and they're doing it at the end of the day. But I think as a collective, we are getting further and further away from actual entertainment, and creativity is probably where the lines meet. I think this whole idea, like you said, about the TikTok and videos and Instagram and content creators, like this is what influencers were to begin with. It was content creators and people doing things online, being an online presence. Whereas now, if you're at that pedestal, if you get to that level, you can post the same picture every day and get the same sort of feedback and the same sort of traffic. And that's where I find the issue. There's just this lack of content, and it's like, what are we even looking at now? It's just the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why I just fear that as humans, we're just starting to lose a bit of authenticity, just a bit of
Mm.
realness, and I just hope that we can kind
I
of.
think people are scared. I think people are scared now. People love this fourth wall. This like keyboard warrior generation we've got, because you can have your opinions and you can say it all from some random username. Like, you have no real identity, and you can voice your opinions more than ever. But I feel like people are almost like people are too scared to do things themselves. These people that are hating the most aren't going to then go and do it the right way or what they think is the right way. People
Yeah,
just chuck a load of hate. But
yeah, I
again, a
suppose
lot
that,
of the
yeah,
time, that's what's keeping these guys afloat, isn't it? Like, any publicity is good publicity, which again isn't a great thing. But I kind of see it how it's made so many people successful.
yeah, I suppose so. There's an element of luck, or not luck. There's an element of good fortune around any kind of publicity. I think any time that someone posts something, it causes outrage. I think some people are licking their lips more than if it was to kind of just be a bit of a one hit wonder. It keeps people relevant. It keeps them in the news, and yeah,
I think
you are
now that
right.
people are desperate. People use anything. I don't know if there's a term for it. This sort of meme culture where, so like another example, that fish and a rice cake. That was a video that I was sent a couple of years ago. I pissed myself out thinking this guy's a moron, and he's come away from that. And there was a couple of years where he struggled with it. I've now seen him on first dates. I've seen him on other shows, on panel shows and stuff, and he's making a bit of a. It was on Lad Bible. That was it. It was on a Bible video, and it's like this guy was ridiculed and taken the mick out of, and he's flipped it to where now he is, I guess, a celebrity. Although I don't think he thinks he is, and I mean, how A-list he is, I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's this whole meme culture or the four lads in tight trousers. This whole idea of like take the piss out of people for so long, and they actually come out of it all right, because all of this traffic towards them could be the worst things. It's death threats. Is taking the mick, like, but actually at the end of the day, it all comes back around where they're now well known and
yeah. Do
they
you
make a
think
fair
though
dollar.
that speaks to our culture, especially in the UK, of I must get famous by any means necessary, even if it
Yeah,
means
one
making
hundred percent.
something of something I've been ridiculed for. Like, even if that's the thing I'm known for, I'm still going to be famous for it because I want to be famous.
I think
Like,
so.
I actually saw. It's funny that you mentioned the fish and a rice cake guy. If anyone hasn't seen that video, by the way, that is an OG classic video that you'd be
I look at
watching
it
in the
now
cover
though.
room at
Do
school
you,
or in
do
the
you,
playground. Yeah,
do
it
the
was.
before and afters though, because like I say, he looks a bit silly, but actually,
Oh
if you look
yeah,
at him now, he's absolutely wham.
oh, he's a rocket. I mean, not as much as you, but he is an
Wow,
actual rocket. But he was.
nuts.
He sat down on. He sat down on Lad Bible with the Wildstone Raider again. Just
That's it.
top quality
Two
memery.
of two of Britain's finest celebrities
Oh
going head
mate,
to head
yeah. I
for
think
the
if we had to submit the top 10 people for aliens to meet from the UK, they'd be floating about, wouldn't they? In terms of
yeah.
who we'd submit. Um, but they were sitting down. They were kind of talking about how viral videos. What's its kind of effect? The positives and the negatives. Obviously, they get a lot of love for it up in the street, getting asked for pictures and stuff like that. But then there's the negativity that comes with it as well. People that thinking that fish in a rice cake bloke was an absolute moron for the longest time. I mean, that is gonna play on you. The Wheelstone Raid, I think, got knocked out by someone that he refused a picture to. So
Mm.
I just worry, and I suppose the underlying theme around social media and how it's evolved and what we've turned it to today. I think at the minute there's too much of a culture around let me sacrifice my authenticity and my, I suppose, realness for fame, for likes, for because that's what's sought after. That's what's gonna, I think from a male point of view, I think we believe that that's going to somehow make us more appealing to the opposite sex, which I know drives a lot of our decision making. Um, and for people in general, it's a way of hiding the trouble and the burden that you're feeling in your life, potentially a route to escapism, because it feels like once you're famous, then that's the lottery ticket. You can go and make a career. I mean, some people going on Love Island, they are literally getting, brand deals upon brand deals just for going on a show, hanging out on an island and telling someone that they're proper fit for a bit. I mean, it's crazy. So no doubt, and there's no doubt that that's what people want, because it seems like the easy way out for a lot of people. But I think sometimes the things that are really worthwhile in life are the things that are harder to work for, that require more patience. And when I think a lot of people now maybe are waking up and smelling the roses, I hope so, especially in our generation where I think we're able to look at things with a lot more objectivity, that they can actually differentiate between what kind of content's good, what's had effort put into it, the kind of nuances that make something great to watch, compared to something that's just really superficial and not really great for your just connectedness to other human beings, and actually great for you to watch in terms of your own mental health. Because you have to remember as well, when you're watching something, when you're absorbing content, that to a certain degree is going to have an effect on you in terms of your lifestyle, your habits, you might think twice before you say something or speak in a certain way again. So you got to remember that you actually have to be quite wary of the kind of content that you're absorbing on a day-to-day basis. So I suppose what my takeaway would be, or something that I'd urge people to do, is just reflect on the kind of social media channels that you're engaging with, because I think over time you will start to see it affect you. And I think what we should be really looking to do is to connect more on a human level, and just we kind of reinstall that authenticity. Um, and I suppose, hopefully, then, especially when we're coming out of this pandemic, because we're
So
going
it's a
to,
bit strong now, isn't it? Because, like you say, that human connection,
yeah,
99% of the time, has just been completely eradicated from everyone's lives. So it is all, you say, it's if we live through our phones. I can even do it now. I'm not here, saying that I'm some sort of social media expert or some sort of celebrity. Or so I've had this tough time with Insta. I just think it's definitely it factored in to me being a shit bloke. And actually, I think now if you are struggling with that kind of thing, put the phone down, or don't, just unfollow some people that you don't really feel like seeing. You control it. Like, I think a lot of people are overwhelmed because they're forced into this technological world of following and having to see all of this. Like you say, choose your information, choose what you want in. Like, choose what channels you want to look at, choose what people you want to follow, people that are actually interesting, people that actually put up good content, people that make you feel better about yourself, than just following these people that are primarily there to look good and make you feel crap.
yeah.
I think there's a lot to be done with all that, and I think you say the sort of, we are just living through these technologies now, and we can't get away from it. Like, I don't think I could. Do you think you could put your phone down for a week?
So I've tried that, and I did for last year. I think I took time off social media for 2 weeks and genuinely felt better. I also, for the first week of this year, deleted all social media again, felt better. But there was a kind of something in me that said, why, in the time that you are the least connected to anyone other than my immediate family, like, why am I deleting a platforms that can help me connect to other people? So it was a bit counterintuitive, because I'm missing my friends more than ever at the minute, and um, if that's a way that I can get hold of people and stay in their lives, then of course that's something I want to do. But going forward, I think it's definitely something that I'm going to look to engage with less, especially when we come out of lockdown. I think what I was going to say before is that these kind of human traits, that human connectedness, they're skills that we all need to kind of remember and hone, because it is going to be quite weird, coming straight out of lockdown. Maybe, I can speak about my relationship with Popey, how we went from last year seeing each other, probably 3 or 4 times a week, to now we see each other 0 times a week. And because everyone's so knackered about spending time on the phone and texting, I mean, text fatigue absolutely through the roof at the minute, then
Yeah.
we're not speaking as nearly as much as either of us would like. But again, there's that kind of understanding that we've both got stuff going on, and it's not always possible to reach out. But yeah, I think it's important to really re-establish those human connections when we come out. Let's spend time together, put the phones away. Like, I might even try and do some nights out where just leaving, I mean, it might be impractical to do, but just leaving the phone at home, or however we do it. But let's just take some real time to connect on a human level, because I think it is important. And I hope that we can get back to a place of balance, because, like you say, there is that massive over reliance on social media at the minute. And
I think and it's what you give power to, isn't it? There's another little motivational speaker quote that I quite like.
you're going to try and launch your own T-shirt line off the back of these
I watch
quotes.
a lot of shit. That's why. But it's so true. Again, this is part of my little way out of this like toxic spiral. Just like what you give power to has power over you, and I think that is exactly the point of. I talk about Instagram or your relationships with people or anything in your head that you are giving power to, then your brain will do the rest. Your brain will then think about it. And I think when you say you give power to these things, these negative things, that's what then has this overlooming impact on you in your day to day, like of just feeling like crap. And that's why I think people turn to this whole idea, or did obviously when we were a bit more social, turn into this idea of I'm going to post this picture and get a few likes and maybe get a couple of DMs. That's going to make me feel really good about myself. But at the same time, I'm terribly lonely and I feel a bit shit about myself. And I think that's this balance that people try, and that's not the healthy balance. I don't think. I think the healthy balance is knowing the power you have over the situation, knowing what you have, what you're capable of, but taking a bit of a step back and knowing that you can't let something like an Instagram page or someone's activity control how you're feeling or what you're doing day to day.
Yeah, I think taking some of your actions into your own hands. I saw something really good. I think it was a TED talk, and only a snippet of it. But next time, I think it's maybe something for everyone to try. And I don't know whether you've tried this, but you take your phone, you see your notifications there, and someone's texted you. But instead of replying, just actively put the phone down and choose to not react, even though you really want to. But the feeling of taking back that control yourself and doing it on your terms when you're ready, and actually realizing that, no, I'm not going to be reliant on a device. It's actually very empowering. So I definitely urge everyone to give that a go, because that's something I've also found is helpful in terms of just not being a complete slave to notifications. And also, it's nice to not always be so unbelievably readily available for everyone that wants you, because you know we are, in general at the moment, I mean, me personally, I'm sure you're going through this at the minute with your job, and you know because everyone's stuck at home and everyone knows everyone's stuck at home, I think everyone feels like you should be instantly available whenever you want them, because, well, what else are you going to do? Where actually, no, like you are the master of your own time, and how much time you want to commit to other people. So when you take that control back, I think it's a massively empowering thing. And it's something that we all probably need to do a bit more. But mate, I've massively enjoyed that, and I realise we've been talking for a while now, and I think it's been, mate, I've absolutely loved it, and I've loved having you on. We'll definitely do something again. Really appreciate your input. I think
Yeah,
it's been really,
absolutely.
really insightful. I just want to ask one more question before we kind of close off the old social media topic. It's probably a bit of a difficult one to answer, but in terms of when you look back, because obviously I think I can probably speak for both of us in that we probably look back at some of our Instagram or social media activity of the past with a little bit of regret. I mean, that's probably part and parcel of growing as a human being, is that, your what you are into today, your interests, your maturity is not going to be the same as it was 2 or 3 years ago. But what kind of feelings do you have when you kind of look back on that? is it something you think, oh, I really regret it, or is it kind of framed as more of a bit of a learning
I think,
opportunity?
again, I find with stuff like that, I don't actually really regret anything. Especially during this lockdown, I used to be a really critical thinker of myself and my actions, and I used to get really sort of like, it's almost like OCD. Like, I'm a big fan of like fresh starts, which I know sounds really stupid, but this whole COVID thing for me was like a fresh start, um, in a lot of ways. So I think I used to be really critical of myself and my like actions before, and I used to get really embarrassed about it and feel like I wish I could have done stuff differently. In a lot of like thinking in hindsight, a lot. And then it got to a point where I was thinking, like, again, everything happens for a reason. I know it's so cliche, but what is dwelling on the past going to do? And you sort of every loss or every time where I've, you know, not done well from a situation, it's just another lesson and just another string to my bow for like the future.
Yeah, yeah, mate, I massively agree. I try and say I don't have many regrets in life because every time I've messed up or every mistake I've made is now an opportunity to learn from those to not repeat them.
Yeah, I think everything's a bit of a lesson, isn't it? In total, I've learned a lot over this sort of past year. But like you say, I think everyone's gone through it as well. I don't think people say it though. With who your circle is, I've got a very tight, close circle of friends, and that actually I'm happy now, and I feel like I'm liked. I guess it's that gratification, isn't it? It's that dopamine hit. I'm telling you now, texting a couple of my mates, like in a uni group chat, that I've done something, or I've just made the sickest bowl of fucking porridge. Like, honestly, it gets to that level, and they're saying that's sick, or I've just done that. I've gone for a run, and we big each other up, and that's all you need. And I beg people to give it a go and just be a bit more like proactive with it and open it up a bit more. Like, say, celebrate the small victories with people that actually care, as opposed to feeling like, I mean, posting on Instagram is absolutely, because I do that as well. I want to post that the run I just did, but who actually care is who's going to sort of congratulate me or want to talk about it. Is obviously a very select few of mates that know who they are and obviously are active. So
Yeah,
it's who are you getting your gratification from, whether or not you're posting on Instagram, whether or not you're doing these things that you think might be coming across as silly. That's another thing. Who are you getting this gratification off, which is the main thing. And most of the time, it should be you. You should be thinking well of yourself in the first place.
mate,
You know,
absolutely. A lot of wisdom in those words, my friend. And I appreciate you.
I've got a waffle maybe, but I'm not sure that wisdom.
No, mate. No, do you know what? I've really enjoyed it, and it's a topic that I know we've discussed before, and it's of interest to both of us. And I think, like you say, we're still on this journey of trying to find the right balance, and at the end of the day, we're still learning about life and trying to figure out our own way and trying to figure out what's what and what works for us. And there's never going to be a perfect answer, but as long as you're happy at the end of the day, which it sounds like you are, and I'm really grateful for that, then it's all good, and we can continue to learn and grow. And then yeah, man, I think I'm sure that we will revisit this in the future, as well as lots of different topics. I mean, I'd love to talk again on this platform. I think that'd be really cool.
100%.
And yeah, man, like I said, I've enjoyed it. What you got planned for the weekend?
Weekend's probably gonna be a chilled one. I'm probably going to try and go for a run, brave the cold, but I say try and find something different to do, switch it up a bit. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
not
I think that's what we need, right? Yeah, well, if you fancy watching a bit of netball, then Ziggy's playing at 2 tomorrow for London Pulse. I think it's on Sky Sports YouTube channel. I think all netball games are going to be televised on Sky this year, which is really exciting, specifically for netball, but also for just women's sport in general. So, if you can find some time for that amongst the rugby, which we'll be crossing our toes and fingers for, even though it's against Italy this week. But it wasn't a great showing last week, was it?
no, not ideal. Bit of a double credit to Scotland though. Again, I'm like that. I think instead of just don't dwell on how crap we were, just say that actually Scotland came did very well. So
Yeah, I thought, mate, I think they played with unbelievable flair. Loved how they were able to switch it up and actually play some very interesting and exciting rugby, whereas we were kind of just trying to kick it to death. So let's hope
yeah,
they can turn it around this week.
there you go.
Because no, losing to the Italians would not be good for the soul, especially in the cold. I can't.
Is that,
I
what
can't
beer
be
was it you were
watching.
drinking tonight? Is it a little not Italian Peroni, was it?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but they make a great beer. But let's be honest, they're not so good at the rugby.
No,
Um, but I don't know if that's going to make it in that accent. But yeah, mate. Well, you know what? Thanks again for coming on. I've really enjoyed it, and here's to the next time. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. This has been Thacker's Sunday Hangover. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays or whenever you're listening to this, and we will speak again soon.